What if various biblical scholars claim a war between nuclear powers was described 2,500 years ago in the book of Daniel? What if some theologians suggest the kings of the North and South aren't just ancient history, but unfolding today? And what if certain researchers see the Ukraine conflict as part of a larger prophetic pattern? Today, the Sacred Archive explores what various sources call startling parallels between ancient prophecy and Europe's largest war since 1945. The Book of Daniel, written during the Babylonian exile, contains what various biblical scholars describe as some of Scripture's most detailed prophecies. Chapter 11, particularly verses 40 through 45, reportedly describes an end-times conflict between the king of the north and the king of the south. While historically interpreted as ancient Greek kingdoms, some modern theologians suggest these prophecies have dual or future fulfillment. Today, we examine what various researchers claim about potential connections to current Eastern European conflicts. Let's begin with what various biblical historians tell us about Daniel 11. The chapter allegedly contains remarkably accurate predictions about wars between the Seleucid and Ptolemaic kingdoms after Alexander the Great. Some scholars note the precision was so exact that skeptics claim it was written after the events. Various theologians argue this historical accuracy validates Daniel's prophetic authenticity, suggesting the end times portions deserve serious consideration. The transition point in Daniel 11 interests various interpreters. Most scholars agree verses 1 through 35 describe historical events through Antiochus Epiphanes. But verse 36 onwards, according to various theologians, shifts to a future figure, someone many identify with end times scenarios. Some researchers suggest this transition pattern appears throughout biblical prophecy. Near fulfillment, foreshadowing far fulfillment. The geographical designation, King of the North, has generated various interpretations throughout history. In ancient times, invasions of Israel came from the north due to desert barriers elsewhere. Some biblical scholars note Babylon, Assyria, and later powers all attacked from this direction. Various modern interpreters suggest Russia as the ultimate northern power from Israel's perspective fits this prophetic role. Consider what various theologians say about Ezekiel 38's connection. That prophecy mentions Gog coming from the uttermost parts of the north. Some researchers see Daniel 11 and Ezekiel 38 as describing the same events from different angles. Various scholars note both involve end times conflicts affecting Israel. The geographical and thematic overlaps interest various prophecy students. The phrase, "at the time of the end," in Daniel 11:40 captures various interpreters' attention. Some suggest this clearly indicates end times rather than historical fulfillment. Others argue it meant the end of the age Daniel was addressing. Let's examine what various geopolitical analysts observe about Russia's historical role. From the Tsarist Empire through the Soviet Union to modern Russia, this northern power has consistently influenced Middle Eastern politics. Some researchers note Russia's involvement in Syria, Iran relations, and complex Israel dynamics. Various observers see prophetic significance in these alignments. The Ukraine conflict that escalated in 2022 interests various prophecy watchers for several reasons. Some note it's the largest European war since World War II. Others emphasize nuclear powers directly confronting each other. Various researchers suggest this could be the beginning of larger prophetic events, rather than an isolated conflict. NATO's involvement raises questions various theologians explore. Daniel 11:40 mentions the king of the south pushing at the king of the north. Some interpreters see NATO expansion as this pushing. Various scholars debate whether military alliances fit prophetic frameworks, or if prophecy focuses on individual nations. Consider what various military historians note about invasion routes. The path through Ukraine toward the Middle East follows ancient military corridors. Some researchers observe that any northern power projecting force toward Israel would likely pass through this region. Various strategic analysts note Ukraine's position as the borderland between East and West. The nuclear dimension adds urgency to various prophetic interpretations. Daniel 12:1 describes a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. Some theologians suggest only nuclear war fits this description. Various scholars note humanity now possesses unprecedented destructive capability, making ancient prophecies newly relevant. Let's explore what various Eastern Orthodox theologians contribute. As the dominant Christian tradition in Russia and Ukraine, Orthodoxy offers unique perspectives. Some Orthodox interpreters see the conflict as spiritual warfare between Christian nations. Others emphasize peace and reconciliation over prophetic speculation. Various Orthodox voices warn against using prophecy to justify violence. The suffering of civilians troubles various Christian observers, regardless of prophetic views. Millions displaced, cities destroyed, families separated. The human cost is undeniable. Some theologians emphasize that even if prophetic patterns exist, Christian response should prioritize compassion over speculation. Various ministry organizations focus on humanitarian aid rather than prophetic analysis. The role of Israel in these scenarios varies among interpretations. Daniel 11:41 mentions the glorious land being entered. Some see this as requiring direct Israel involvement. Others suggest indirect effects through regional instability. Various scholars note. Consider what various energy experts highlight about resource factors. Europe's dependence on Russian energy, Ukraine's pipeline infrastructure, and Middle Eastern energy alternatives create complex dynamics. Some prophecy watchers see treasures of gold and silver mentioned in Daniel 11:43 relating to energy resources. Various analysts emphasize economic motivations alongside political ones. The information warfare aspect interests various researchers. Daniel 11:44 mentions tidings out of the east and north, troubling the king. Some interpret this as intelligence, propaganda, or cyber warfare. Various observers note how modern conflicts involve narrative battles alongside physical ones. Let's examine what various peace advocates emphasize. Regardless of prophetic interpretations, they argue Christians should be peacemakers. Some worry that prophecy belief might encourage fatalism or even welcome conflict. Various voices stress that biblical prophecy should inspire preparation for Christ's return, not celebration of warfare. The expansion potential concerns various analysts. Could the Ukraine conflict spread to other nations? Some see Daniel 11's descriptions of multiple nations involved as predicting wider war. Various military experts analyze escalation scenarios while hoping for diplomatic solutions. The timing question divides various interpreters. Are we seeing prophetic fulfillment or historical patterns repeating? Some argue current events match Daniel's descriptions remarkably. Others note similar claims during previous conflicts proved premature. Various scholars emphasize humility in prophetic interpretation. Consider what various revival historians document. Major spiritual movements often followed wars and upheavals. Some expect conflict to drive spiritual seeking. Various researchers note increased prayer and church attendance during crises. The relationship between suffering and spiritual awakening appears throughout history. The Chinese factor interests various prophecy students. Daniel 11:44 mentions tidings from the east affecting the northern king. Some see China's position regarding the conflict as prophetically significant. Various analysts note China's growing Middle Eastern influence and complex Russia relationship. Let's explore what various refugee workers report. Ukrainian Christians dispersed globally share their faith amid suffering. Some see this as seeds of revival. Various ministries note opportunities for gospel witness through humanitarian aid. Suffering, while tragic, often opens hearts to spiritual truth. The deception theme in Daniel 11 concerns various theologians. Verses describe flattery, corruption, and lies. Some see modern propaganda and disinformation as fulfillment. Various scholars note truth becomes war's first casualty. The spiritual battle for truth parallels physical conflicts. Consider what various nuclear strategists analyze. Escalation dynamics, deterrence theory, and accident risks create unprecedented scenarios. Some theologians see nuclear weapons as enabling prophecies about instant destruction. Various experts pray rational leadership prevails despite prophetic possibilities. The religious dimensions within the conflict interest various observers. Orthodox Christians fighting Orthodox Christians troubles many believers. Some see spiritual significance in this fratricidal aspect. Various church leaders call for reconciliation based on shared faith rather than national divisions. Let's examine what various humanitarian organizations document. The scale of human need overwhelms response capacity. Some see Matthew 24's wars and rumors of wars with famines and pestilences connecting. Various groups focus on practical help, while others debate prophetic significance. The global economic impacts concern various analysts. Inflation, food shortages, and energy crises affect nations worldwide. Some interpreters see economic chaos as prophetically significant. Various scholars note how regional conflicts create global consequences in interconnected systems. The diplomatic efforts interest various peace researchers. Multiple attempted negotiations, peace proposals, and mediation efforts have occurred. Some see Daniel 11:27's description of kings speaking lies at one table as relating to failed diplomacy. Various observers hope for breakthrough while preparing for prolonged conflict. Consider what various cybersecurity experts document. Digital attacks on infrastructure, information systems, and financial networks accompany physical warfare. Some see this as new fulfillment of old prophecies about invisible warfare. Various analysts note cyber domain adds complexity to prophetic interpretation. The role of Turkey interests various prophecy students. Controlling Bosphorus access between Black Sea and Mediterranean, Turkey holds strategic significance. Some interpreters see Turkey in Daniel 11 as King of the North allies. Various scholars note Ottoman Empire history adds layers to interpretation. As we conclude this exploration, various theologians emphasize the danger of certainty in prophetic interpretation. History shows numerous confident predictions proved wrong. Some counsel watchfulness without dogmatism. Various voices encourage biblical literacy while avoiding sensationalism. The human suffering remains real regardless of prophetic significance. Millions need practical help, not just prophetic speculation. Various Christian organizations emphasize Jesus' commands to love neighbors and enemies transcend prophetic curiosities. What various scholars agree upon. These are serious times requiring spiritual discernment. Whether experiencing prophetic fulfillment or historical cycles, believers should respond with prayer, compassion, and gospel focus. Various interpretations exist, but Christian calling remains constant. Faithful witness amid uncertainty. If this prophetic analysis provided perspective, subscribe to The Sacred Archive for more biblical insights on current events. Share with others seeking to understand our times through scriptural lens. Comment your thoughts below. The Sacred Archive, where ancient prophecies meet modern mysteries. Subscribe now.